Some local high school students love the challenge of working on a project and solving problems that have no clear solution, so much so that they even formed a club. Join us today as we talk with Charlottesville High School teacher Dr. Matt Shields about the after-school group he leads called Bacon, the best all-around club of nerds. Come on.
I think it's really cool that there's just a club at CHS that facilitates science, engineering, all these things that so many kids are so passionate about, including myself.
There's something for anybody who loves science here, and that's so important. And even for people who don't love science like me, they can get involved through making sure everything's running smoothly or fundraising, and so that's great.
I can't say I started Bacon. I signed the paper to bring Bacon into existence because my students wanted it to exist.
But it started with you because you were trying to think of a way to get your students more excited about science fair projects they had to do.
You might be able to press me to take a little bit of credit, but okay, so that's what happened was they were supposed to do a science fair project. That was a school policy, and they were not interested in that. So then I proposed to them that they could, instead of a science fair project, they could do a project with me. And I found a project that someone else had done something similar, where someone had attached a weather balloon to a payload with a still camera and a video camera and some radio equipment and GPS antenna, and sent it up into space. And it's just awesome because from altitude of around 100,000 feet, so 20 miles, you're just in space. It's black, and you get the curvature of the Earth, and it's just beautiful. So I thought I'd like to be able to do that. So I went back to class the next day and I pitched a similar idea. I said, okay, we're Ocean's 11. I need a radio guy, I need a balloon guy, I need a helium guy, I need a fundraising person, a music person, and I just kind of listed all the things that might go into a project like this. And I sent them home with a homework assignment that night, and the homework assignment was write down on a piece of paper if you'd like to participate in the project, and if so, what would you bring to the project? And the next day, like I said, 29 students brought back pieces of paper that said, I'm in, and here's what I can contribute.
And when you did it, the first time it failed, and then the students just wanted to go back and fix it. They were all excited, and they wanted to do it again. And then this eventually led to Bacon.
To Bacon, right.
Okay, and then so what's the story behind the name Bacon?
So we decided to make it an actual club. We called it the Charlottesville Science Club. I thought that was all right. And I think it was after a few months, the club got huge really fast. I think we had about 80 students in the club pretty quickly after we had started. Wow. And it was just in a meeting one day I don't even remember why, someone decided we should rename it. And I remember it was this guy named Nicky. He said, we should name it Bacon. And someone said, why Bacon? And he said, I don't know, let's come up with an acronym. So the name actually preceded the acronym, and he said, Best All Around Club of Nerds. And,
that's great.
And then we went and got shirts made and bumper stickers, and I think that's one of my favorite things about the club is just it's a fun name.
And you stand out at the competitions because no one else is named Bacon.
I love that. Most of the other teams have either button-downs or polo shirts, embroidered, something like that. And we just have these blue t-shirts that say Bacon.
Oh, it's Bacon time! 3, 2, 1, go!
I'm a part of FTC, which is First Tech Challenge. It's a robotics club, and every year there's a different challenge. So this year it's Velocity Vortex, and we have to shoot balls into this spinning thing in the center, and we are building robots to try to achieve that.
Should I shoot it?
Yes.
Shoot.
It's already nice.
Yes.
I like the building stuff, of course, because there's so many machines here to do stuff with, and I mean, I could say I only know like a quarter of the machines. I've had no experience with a lot of them, but still, like there's saws and laser cutters and all that, so that's definitely the most fun.
Having the 3D printers is really cool, because the whole like concept behind being able to design something on a computer and then a few hours later actually seeing it and being able to hold it in your hand is kind of, I enjoy that.
How many different subgroups in Bacon?
I've lost track, at least a dozen. The group that goes to Boston, that's Zero Robotics, or ZR, and Zero Robotics is a programming competition. And that one's wild. They just write code to control a virtual robot in 3D space. And So it's a robot that's floating around in 3D space, which is very difficult because it's got little thrusters on it, and once it's off axis, it has to do all these, it has to perform all these maneuvers with a competitor robot and their strategy. It's a very complicated, tough competition, but the kids are so into it. They stay up all night working on it, and that one's a lot of fun. And we've made it to finals, I think, 3 or 4 times. If you make it to finals, you go to MIT and you sit in an auditorium and your code flies on the International Space Station. And so last year we went, and Commander Scott Kelly ran the experiment. So there's Scott Kelly saying, "All right, Bacon, you're next, and your robot's going," and it was really a great experience.
Okay, tell me
So
about
we've
some
got
of
Z
the
Robotics. A big one that you saw that making a lot of noise today was FTC. That's First Tech Challenge. First Tech Challenge is sort of the little brother of First Robotics, which was founded by Dean Kamen, this big nationwide robotics competition. And your robot has to accomplish all these tasks. So for example, this year our robot has to go around and pick up these wiffle balls and be able to shoot them into a target. For part of the game, it has to be able to do that autonomously, so it has to have sensors on board that are figuring out where it is in space and where the thing is and calculating the right velocity and everything. And then after autonomous period is over, the robot is controlled with a joystick. There's a big yoga ball it has to put up on a thing, it has to spin something around, it has to push buttons. I mean, all in about 2.5 minutes it has to do all of these things. And so the kids have to build a robot. Just that in and of itself is a challenge. So they're figuring out how to wire up motors and servos and sensors and all that stuff. And then they have to write computer code that runs the whole thing. And so when one of the drivers pushes the joystick, they've written the code that says, okay, that joystick voltage goes into this bit of code, which causes the robot to do this, and it travels over here. And so that is just an intense competition. We probably have 20, 25 kids just involved in that.
Well, and then you have club members that are all about logistics.
Yeah, and so there's Bacon's gotten so big. So I mean, with all those other subgroups, and I haven't even talked about Science Fair and Science Olympiad and Science Bowl and Green Bacon and DERP, which is Dangerous Extracurricular Research Projects. Everything has an acronym. And all of them spend money. And we also take field trips.
Right.
We do a lot.
Geneva.
Yeah, and so with, if you include the Geneva trip, about $100,000 flows through our club every single year.
Bacon is complicated, I would say. Maybe I just come from that because I hear everybody's like, I need this, I need this, I need that. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then I have to fill out all these expense pre-approval forms or whatnot. But there's a lot of different things going on. I don't think we ever have a dull day, I would say.
There's a lot to learn from every day, and things do go wrong, mistakes are made, and that's how everyone learns.
We have so much brain power, everyone is so smart, and so we are always trying to find new tasks and problems that we can solve and keep everyone involved.
Science Olympiad is what I spend most of my time on, and it's this club where there's 23 different events ranging from hydrogeology, which is the study of groundwater, to building the tallest tower that you can. So you compete in those events as a pair, and then the whole pair contributes to the team's score.
Bacon is honestly amazing. Probably my favorite thing about CHS. Collaborating towards something, I think, is actually even more valuable than all the programming, all the CAD experience I've gotten out of the club.
You say this club is run by the students.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that, because it's this whole style of teaching has now become a part of your classroom approach to teaching.
Right. When Bacon started, that was my first year teaching at CHS. It was my 4th year teaching, and I think I was doing okay, but I was teaching the way I had been taught, and that was I gave a lot of lectures, I gave a lot of quizzes and homework. And then when Bacon happened, I would watch the rate of learning go up a lot. And so that, I think, was a clue for me to watch students learn things that they were excited about, learn them quickly, and I just know there was more retention. And so those are some of the things that I saw that I thought, okay, this could be curriculum.
Yeah.
And so over the last few years, I've turned it into curriculum, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So your educational background is?
I went to undergrad for mechanical and aerospace engineering, and then I actually worked as an engineer for a little while. Then I went back to grad school also for engineering. And it was then I decided I liked computer programming. I worked as a computer programmer for a while, then taught high school for a couple of years. And then at that point I decided education was something I really wanted to know more about, and I went back to school for education. And since then I've gotten my PhD in curriculum and instruction.
What are some of the kids doing who have graduated from CHS who were a part of this program?
The year Bacon was founded, there were 3 students I put in charge of it. Lizzie went on to get a double major from Yale in physics and philosophy, if I remember right. Jesse went on to become a mechanical engineer from MIT. Dania now works for Northrop Grumman up in Baltimore. She earned her engineering degree from UVA. The girls that started SPAM, the Science Fair Project Group, they both went to MIT, and they're doing cancer research at MIT. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So, all right, so the club meets every Thursday, and it started with about 80 kids. How many are involved now?
We've kind of, we've about 100 on the roster right now, and then the thing is, these kids that are so amazing and do such incredible things with Bacon, they're also the captain of the field hockey team. They're also in theater, and they're also in 5 AP classes.
And they're designing the lab space, because wasn't it 2 kids? It was
Ryan
2
and Ellie
students
designed this place, yeah.
Who, when you said, what do we need, they told you, and this is what you
Yeah,
have.
that was, it was an advantage just to have them around. So when an architect came to me and said, how would you design a lab? I just turned to Ryan and Ellie. I said, well, you guys have been crammed into my physics classroom for 4 years. What would be your dream lab? And they immediately knew what they wanted, and that period they drew up on a back of a piece of paper what a lab would look like, and it pretty much looks exactly like this.
So do you ever get tired of being a part of Bacon, or is it always exciting?
Not even close. I have not gotten tired yet. I mean, just today. So today is probably, I don't know, my 600th Bacon meeting or something like that. And every meeting is fun. Every meeting is, one of the great things is every meeting is new kids, and so I get a new batch of kids every 4 years that are going down that path and learning new things. We're always getting involved in new projects and coming up with new solutions to old projects, and so it's still my favorite part of the week.
All the resources that we have here and all that, it really facilitates learning about engineering and learning about science that you don't really get just in science and math classes during school, so this really makes it easy.
Just the experience of working on a team, putting in those long hours, staying up late sometimes just to get things done. All these are skills that can pretty easily be applied to a job outside of high school.
One of the cool things we did is last year we had a robot did a pull-up all the way up to the ceiling, and it just hung there the entire summer. And coming back and seeing it still there was, I don't know, it was a really good memory, yeah.